Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, sir.
Life coach, Mike Bayer.
Yes, he's got a new book out, Best Self, Be You Only Better.
That's the plan.
That is the plan. Thank you guys for having me so much. I love this show.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
You tall to be a life coach, man.
I'm too tall.
You used to play football or something?
Basketball.
Basketball.
I actually went to play at Fordham
Oh, okay. Not
as a
bad.
walk-on, but then I got addicted to drugs and kind of went downhill from
Really?
there. Yeah.
So
What drugs?
How did that start even?
Yeah, well,
Which question?
Like, how did you,
all of the
How
Basketball,
did it even
Yeah.
start?
Basketball or the
I think.
A-balls?
Look, I think
Ball.
I think I grew up in a good family, but I think I didn't know what to do with my emotions. I mean, similar to what you wrote in Shook,
Yeah.
which I love.
Thank you
for doing the Audible.
Thank you.
Because when you buy books from authors and they don't do the audio, it's just like,
I feel like I be cheating people. I do radio and
Oh.
podcasts. Like, I got to do
and it's
that.
really funny.
Yeah.
And it's mental health related. But
You from
so thank
Jersey?
you.
Where you from?
I'm from L.A., Orange
okay.
County, and I went to Fordham. I went to this high school called Mater Dei. It's a big athletic sports school, and I got out to college. I was already addicted to drugs around 17, and then I picked up meth, some crack.
Well, how'd you get addicted to drugs? Was it your friends? Everybody was doing it? You tried it, or?
I didn't like myself. I didn't like who I was in this world. I just think for whatever reason, I just didn't know what to do with my emotions. Like I could have been the family I grew up in. It could have been a lot of things, but I think I just I'm grateful for it though, because it's created a new journey for me.
it was like a self-medication.
Yeah, it was
Type of thing
self-medication. I love to party. I love to have fun. I dealt drugs for a little while. I was the worst drug dealer on earth. Because I
you
wanted to
tall to
share
be a
with
drug
everyone.
dealer.
Oh,
Yeah,
too
you do
tall,
drugs.
like
Everybody-
too like bubbly. I would wear like boxers instead of briefs. And you stuff in your pants and then it falls out. And like I just was a mess. I would give it away.
Right.
I never made money. I was lost. I didn't know how to find myself.
Now,
So
for
would you
people who
suffer
don't
from
know you-
depression and
Yeah,
anxiety?
depression, anxiety,
Yeah.
and just unhappiness. Yeah, unhappiness.
And you didn't know what it was back then.
No.
Yeah, so you turn to drugs to try to
Yeah.
make it go away, and it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. Went through a bunch of treatment centers, and then at 22, I finally got sober.
Yes, and that's why this book is important. So for people who don't know your journey, you actually have to want to actually do better, because it doesn't help no matter how many interventions people do for you until you're ready to actually try to kick those habits.
Yeah, what I've realized, because I've been in mental health now for 16 years. So I've been helping people in all capacities, from doing interventions to, I used to be hired to fly into random cities when, in some wild cases. And what I've realized is it all comes down to authenticity. And that's why I call the book Best Self, is because when people are being their best selves, who they authentically are, they don't want to get high. They don't want to get in trouble. The problem is we lose ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, because the easiest thing to do in the world is be yourself. I think it's the pressure of trying to pretend to be something else that probably can lead you to drugs and alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And they talk about the liquid courage.
Yeah, and the environment you grow up in, where suddenly you're identifying with what's cool. And, they don't teach us in schools how to be our best selves. They don't teach us personal development. There's physical health. There's no mental health. So then as adults, we look back and we're like, oh, shit, I gotta go fix myself. I gotta, it's affecting my relationships, my family, my job. And so I've really made it, kind of my mission to help people be their best selves.
This is interesting when I hear this from athletes, because, throughout grade school, y'all are told how great y'all are, and y'all are always getting pushed and getting told that y'all are the best. So why didn't you feel like you were one of the best?
Well, I mean, I think that's for anyone. I like I said, I was never taught this stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you grow up in a certain type of family and, parents don't get along, eating disorders, addictions, like you're not taught. You're not taught how to be authentic.
Right.
You're not taught how to be yourself. You're struggling to even just deal with your emotions. And then it's like, how do I fit in? You go to elementary school and it's like you talked about in Shook, it's like you show up at school and suddenly you're trying to fit in and like, who am I? There's no playbook. But this Best Self's the playbook.
What was the turning point?
It is.
Yeah.
What was the turning point for you? What was that made you say, you know what, I have to stop this?
Well, I think, have you guys ever done meth?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, no.
No.
No, fortunately, no.
Have you guys ever done any other drugs?
I did weed, and I smoked weed with cocaine before.
Okay.
I've done shrooms and ecstasy.
You've done shrooms and ecstasy? Was it
Not
good?
together.
Was it a good trip?
I enjoyed the shrooms. The ecstasy, I had one bad experience. I did it like 3 times, and I didn't like it. I don't think I have an addictive personality because I never felt like I had to keep on doing it. All I need is like something to go wrong, and I'm like, never again. And I did shrooms a couple of times. That was enjoyable.
How about you, DJ?
Only weed.
Only weed?
Only weed.
Well, when you do drugs, that's like really when you lose yourself, right?
Yeah.
We see people where you're like, who is that guy? And I think I had this moment where I looked at myself in the mirror. I'd stayed up for a week and slept for a week. I was one of those I wanted to keep
That's
staying
not
up.
fun at all, by the way.
No, you
Staying
start
up for a week is the
hallucinating. I
worst.
thought I was possessed by the devil. I thought there was a camera in the peephole
Then
to
you
my
look
apartment.
terrible.
I spray painted my place red.
What?
Yeah, like crazy. But it was real to me. Like it was really real. And then I remember my grandfather died, and a few days later, like I just had like this weird moment. I always think we have different moments in our life where we can choose a path. You can make a choice. You can make a choice to go, I'm not going to go down that road. You know, like it's not a good thing for me. I looked at myself in the mirror. I was about 90 pounds less than I am now. And I just saw in my eyes, I just was like empty. I don't like myself. Like I genuinely hate myself. And it was that moment that I was like, I need to do something. So I started reaching out, making calls, and but that was the moment. Was just looking in the mirror.
Who did you call?
And it's the same mantra I do today.
Okay.
I even did the mantra before I come in here. I do a mantra where I look at myself in the mirror because so often we look at ourselves aesthetically, right? We'll check ourselves out in the mirror and we'll be like, oh, do I look good? Do I got a booger hanging out my nose? But what I'll do is I'll do a little ritual and then I'll drop on my knees real quick. I talk about it in Best Self. I get on my knees real quick. I look at myself in the mirror and then I give myself a mantra. So I'm like speaking to my authentic self and not deviating into ego or someone else, you know?
Now, for people that are listening,
Well, I mean, he asked who the person.
Yeah, who did you call?
Sorry,
Like, you say you started making calls, like counselors, therapists,
Mom.
No, like I knew this DJ that somehow was sober, and I looked up to him, and I was like, how the hell did he stay sober? Like I didn't, and I also didn't realize sober means sober, you know. So it took a little while, but like I didn't realize if to stay off meth, I needed to quit weed and alcohol. Everyone's road is different, but I just thought, oh, I just have a problem with meth.
Yeah.
So I started doing pills and X, and then I'm like, oh, I can't do that either. So suddenly I finally made some phone calls to some people that I knew had figured it out.
So you don't do nothing now?
I do not know. In May, I'll have 17 years sober.
Wow,
Nothing.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, for people
Yeah.
who are listening and they have people in their own lives that they can look around and see they have an issue, but they don't know how to help them.
Yeah.
Because, again, if you don't want to help yourself, it's really hard for other people to help you. Since you do interventions, how do you know when it's time for an intervention, and how should an intervention be staged?
You know, you want to. It's like anything in life that you want to raise the bottom. So people have this belief that it needs to get to the point where, you know, they reach this moment of, you know,
Rock
the moment
bottom,
I had, right? The moment I had. Very few people reach that moment. So for me, I was motivated by emotional pain. Most people don't change. There's two ways that people change. It's emotional pain or consequences related to their choices not to get well. So you try to create those. You try to raise their bottom by not enabling them. You know, you can get a group of family and friends together. You can even watch the show Intervention, which actually ruined the job of interventions, because by the time they would reach me after every family tried to do an intervention, oh my God, you know, they would already have all excuses not to go to treatment. But but you can, you know, you should, if you have a loved one who's addicted or depressed or has debilitating anxiety, you get a group of people together that love them, that care for them. And the most important thing is you have to get from point A to point B, so you need to have a solution in place. You can't just say to someone, hey, we're really concerned that you're depressed and you need to see a therapist. No, you sit down with them and say, we love you so much, we care about you, you're not being yourself, we want you to go to a therapist, I'm going to take you to a therapist, I set up this meeting for the therapist, I paid for the therapist, so you give them absolutely no excuse but to go.
Well, what if they're not receptive, though? Like, you know, because you can, you know, you say you can take a horse to water but can't make them drink. So what if
There's always a way. There's always a way. I mean, there's always a way. Like life, God, universe works in mysterious ways. Like there's always a way to get someone well. And if someone's, I mean, it depends on the circumstance too. Like if you're married to somebody who's addicted, what's more important, their relationship to you or the drugs? Sometimes you have to set that bottom line and say, this is it.
That's one of my biggest fears. I know as a kid, my parents' fear was me being safe going to school. You know, just the area we lived in, Queens. One of my biggest fears is one of my kids getting caught or hooked on drugs. You know, because we live in a different neighborhood now, and you know there's drugs all through that neighborhood. You just always scared that they'll say, okay, well, Johnny does it, let me give it a try, you know, and then there's no coming back from that, you know?
Yeah, I think it's certain neighborhoods, I mean, I think it's very hard to come out.
And heroin is so big right now. And there's so many kids doing heroin. What are some of the signs? Because a lot of parents don't even know their kids are on drugs. So what are some of the signs that parents can look for to say that, wow, this is a sign?
Parents typically have a sixth sense to know when something's going on with their kid.
Yeah, you've been raising this being since they was day one, so you can see the changes.
But I think a lot of times parents don't want to believe it.
Right.
And by the time a parent knows it's a problem, everyone knows it's a problem. But some of the signs is them just detaching the way they speak to you, the type of friends they're obviously hanging out with, lying. You know, the biggest thing is lying. That's number one, because you know the reverse of that is the biggest way to make change in your life is to get honest with yourself. So once your kid starts lying to you, you got to have the sit down. You got to have that honesty, because it's going to affect their life later as well in every level, you know.
Now, you also talk about things that we eat, right, in this book, and your diet and how that can actually affect you as far as being your best self.
I do. So what in Best Self, what we do off the bat is we create your best self and your anti-self. So your best self is your authentic self. It's the best version. It's who you are. Like, we're all given names by our parents, but at a soul level, you know, who are you? You can create your own. So mine's a wizard named Merlin. He's like wise. He's like super old. You know, he's in my head. You know, it kind of plays back to the whole angel and devil, but really defining who is that angel inside of you and who is that devil inside of you.
Like, draw that picture of
you draw. Yeah. So like, I went on like The Talk, and all the hosts, they did their best self and anti-self. I would love for you guys to do your best self and anti-self, but the anti-self is that part of you that is getting in the way of you having a better life. So everyone has that anti-self. Usually they'll just be like, oh, he's just angry, or, you know, and everyone sees it with their partner or someone they're married to or their kids. It's defining who their anti-self is. Like, there's this lady who is a part of the publishing for the book, and like her anti-self was Road Rage Regina. You know, nicest woman in the world. She gets behind the wheel. She's a completely unhappy, you know, territorial driver. Other people, it's like, for me, my anti-self, I call Angelos, like impatient, provoking, like doesn't let anyone in, doesn't want to believe that, you know, there's things are going right.
Yeah.
So like, I find that doing that exercise is beyond helpful.
Is there ever a way that the anti-self can help you?
Knowing it.
Got you.
So knowing it and then tapping back into your best self and going like, how would my best self handle this? Do you have an anti-self, you think? We all do.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, probably Charlamagne.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
He probably is my anti-self. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just,
you know, it was interesting when I was reading Shook. What hit me was you were talking about how the fear was like an asset, and it could be an asset or it could be detrimental, right? Whereas I feel like if you're completely free, you don't have fear. Like, who you authentically are is a man who has no fear, who doesn't care what people say, who's just being himself. I think Charlamagne's the art. I feel like, I mean, I've watched a lot of The Breakfast Club. Maybe you guys can chime in. Do you think Charlamagne is the worst part of him?
It's a good question. Make everybody think.
Yes.
Really? Why? Tell me the difference between who he authentically is and his anti-self.
Who is Leonard and who is Charlamagne?
I think Leonard is a kid that grew up where people didn't necessarily respect him or necessarily like him. So I think he created a character named Charlamagne that he uses to bully people, like he bullied, you know, the Down syndrome kid, you know, like
what are you talking about?
I'm telling you, like, so I think
he wasn't Charlamagne yet.
Is the way of that person to kind of protect little Leonard.
I think it's like that for any. I honestly feel like that. I feel
that way though.
I feel that way about any male in hip hop. And I tell you why, because we all create these characters.
Yes,
DJ
absolutely.
Like none of
I
these
know.
people are. Most of us don't use our real names. We have this.
true.
We move off the perception that people.
And
have
why do you
of
think
us.
that is?
Probably for all the reasons Envy just said. A lot of us.
So that Charlamagne can act up.
Yes.
And DJ Envy can act up
Yes.
and be obnoxious.
But in the hood, a lot
Right.
of it is survival. Like
That's
we're
true,
all
too.
just trying to survive. So you got to create these characters to like survive. So
You
to
guys
speak.
aren't in the hood anymore.
That is very
That
true.
is
But that's
very
what I
true.
mean when I say my anti-self could possibly be Charlamagne, because I don't know if a lot of the things that I used to believe serve me now. At 40
I would
years
say
old.
I would say the anti-self would be the parts of Charlamagne that are destructive to your own life.
Oh, well, that's gone. I stopped fucking other girls and stopped doing drugs a long time ago.
So explain what you mean, DJ Envy.
I think that's partly what it was when I said it was the Charlamagne. It was, you know, when we used to go to the club, it was Charlamagne and Envy in the club. When I'm home, I'm Rashawn. He's Leonard. It's a different
Leonard,
person.
thank you.
Leonard McKelvey. You know, it's just a different. I think it's kind of like a different person. I think even with me, DJ Envy was the one that was wilding out, and that was kind of like that person on my shoulder. But
You
when
like
I'm
remove
Yeah.
yourself from what you're doing.
exactly.
By
Exactly.
giving them a different name.
Same with you.
I'm Angela Yee all the time.
You don't change.
No, my name, I don't, yeah, I've been pretty consistent,
Got it.
I feel like. I mean, of course, I've grown into, different spaces in my life, but I don't feel like I'm a completely different person than I have been. I think I've always fundamentally, like, been a nice, decent person.
Yeah, and I've looked I've looked at you can look at old footage and you see like who the fuck was that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what the
Absolutely.
fuck was I doing? Like I mean, it's certain things that I've said or even just certain things that I've done, and I'm like,
He was
what
a
the
wild boy.
I was a wild
He
boy.
He was a
wild.
wild
Yeah.
boy.
I was a wild boy, and it's like even when people tell you stories, you be like, damn, I
I
did
said
that.
that? I did that?
I did that.
He was a wild boy.
Like, I think for myself, I drank a lot more, I partied a lot more, but I also was younger.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I definitely, like, I'm a lot more conscious about what I eat. And, I don't drink at all nearly as much as I do, and I'm a lot more responsible. But I think how I treated people was always consistent. Like, I've always been.
Well,
a
let's do
considerate
this.
kind
Can I
of
do a little
person.
exercise with you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So you're gonna do a little assessment.
Okay.
So I created this thing called the 7 spheres of living your best life.
Do you
Yes,
need a
I
pen?
agree.
You need a pen and a paper.
7 spheres. All right.
Spheres.
Oh,
It's an
spheres.
acronym.
Oh, spheres. I got you.
And so you're gonna write down SP
SP.
H
Uh-huh.
E.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You got it.
SPHE.
R-E-S. Okay. So really
I
simply,
did like this, or you want to write it down?
that's cool. You actually did perfectly.
I know, I figured.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people don't do that. You're like, I know. I'm an overachiever.
I'm an overachiever.
So what I want you to do is to rate your social life with how you truly want it to be. So the first S is social, from a 1 to 10. 10 being it's exact. I love it. It aligns with who I truly am.
Social life?
Your social life,
What's that mean?
your
Like,
friendships, your
got you.
whatever it means for you would be the ideal social life.
okay.
Okay. The next would be your personal life. When I say personal, it's your self-care, it's your own mental health, it's your self-esteem. Next is your health, the organs in your body, your physical health.
Okay.
The next would be education or evolve. How much are you evolving in your life that lines up with what or how you want it to be? Relationships. So this would be with your kids and your family and your loved one. Sometimes people break it down to 2. They have like my loved one,
Yeah, because that's different.
right? It's a lot different. It's normally different. So sometimes you could break it down.
Should we break it down?
Employment, 1 to 10, and spiritual.
Boom.
Got it.
All right. Anything stick out to you guys on each year's? Why don't you tell me what you came up with, Charlamagne?
For social, I put 10 because I really do feel like I have great friends. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm a great friend, and I feel like you attract what you are. So I have great friends. P is what? Personal. I put a 7. H, health, I put an 8. E was
Education or
Education.
evolve?
evolving. I put a 10. because I feel like I'm a totally different person than I was 4 or 5 years ago. R, relationships, 8, because I feel like I can always be more attentive, especially when you're at home. Like a lot of times we tend to go home and like disconnect, but we don't even realize we're disconnected from our family as well. E was what? Employment, a 9. It should have been a 10 though, but I put a 9 because I feel like I still can do a little bit more. And S was spiritual. I put a 9 because I feel like I'm there, but I'm not there where I want to be spiritually.
Okay. And any reason why personal is a 7?
Personal was what? With personal
self-esteem, self-worth.
Yeah, I think that's a constant battle. I think the mental health thing is a constant battle. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Like sometimes I can wake up in the morning and be extremely happy. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and just be depressed, sad, mad, don't even know why. You know what I'm saying? Like I can be totally fine on a Tuesday and be like calling my therapist like I got to come see you right now on a Wednesday. So I just think that's a constant like up and down type thing. But I know why that is though. I know it's because it's things that I'm holding on to that I haven't expressed or told the world, and it's eating me up. But I'm gonna free myself soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Be free.
Yep.
Charlamagne, be free.
DJ Envy?
Social was 8. The reason it's 8 is because although I have a small circle of friends and a small circle of people, I want to expand it to things that I really, really enjoy that I don't necessarily know of. And I've been doing that with the real estate. I've been doing that with the automotive and the cars and the things that I love. So I'm starting to expand, but I need to get more into that. I'm a New Yorker, so I just don't like to talk to people. You kind of don't like to ask. So you try to figure it out on yourself. So I got to work on that. Personal is 8. I just think for myself, there's a lot of shit that bothers me. And when it bothers me, I have a problem with it. You know what I mean? That's just who I am. Health is 8. I need to eat better. I go through my ups and downs where for 3 months straight I'll eat great, and then I'll go on the road and eat all types of bullshit. Education, it's the same. Now we broke it down to 2, right? We broke it down.
Let's evolve education.
Evolve education. Evolve. I think I've evolved amazingly from who I was when I started this Breakfast Club. When we started this Breakfast Club thing. And as far as education and knowing more, I feel like it's a 9. I'm ready to learn. I love to learn. That's just who I am. What else we got? Relationship 8. And the reason relationship 8, I'm almost at the point where I want to be in my relationship with my wife. Like I'm 90% there, but it's still kind of like you test the water sometimes. It's kind of like you've done so much bullshit and see so much bullshit. It's kind of like you just want to ease it in a little bit. Like, the statute of limitation is almost there. So I'm almost there with that. Employment 10. I really enjoy my job. This is not a job to me. I always say this, like I would work here for free if they didn't want to pay me. You know what I mean? That's how much I enjoy it. I love it. And spiritual, I say 10. I mean, I'm so connected to a God and how many times I pray and how many times I speak to God and how many times I pray with my kids and pray with my wife and pray with my family. I feel a closeness. I don't attend church. I just really don't.
You got your own thing.
But I have my own thing. So those are mine.
Angela, S, shoes.
Oh, social life, shoes. No, I put 7, and I only put that because I have a lot of friends, but I feel like I don't have the time to dedicate to making sure that my friendships, like, I'll have people call me up and be like, oh my God, I just went through this, and I don't even have time to like go see you, and I feel bad about that I don't have the time I want to dedicate to my real friends that I like came up with. Personal, I put 7, just because I don't get enough sleep ever. And I feel like that's something I need to work on. I think sometimes I make too many commitments to do things. Like this week is crazy for me, but it's always like that. I'm always like, next month I'm going to just take it easy, and I never end up doing that. For health, I put 8 because I do try to eat well. And, my diet's been good. I became a vegetarian recently also. And even as far as like working out, I try to make sure I do that also. So I do feel pretty good about that. I think that's the only reason I don't get sick, because my health is pretty good as far as what I eat. Education and evolving, I put in 8 because I am always trying to learn about new and different things. I just became an ambassador for the New York Public Library. I read a lot of books. And education has always been important to me. So it's different things I'm always trying to make sure I grow into as far as an entrepreneur, evolving relationships. For family, I put a 6, only because I have never really been like super, super close to my family. I think I do a lot of things that I'm obligated to do because I know that's my family. But I also don't even see them that much. Like, I know certain people talk to their family members every day. And I might not talk to, like, my mom for, 3 or 4 days, my dad for a couple of weeks, my brother for a couple of weeks.
It's better than most.
You think? Because
That's better than a lot of people.
I know people that talk to their mom every single day, and so it makes me feel bad. And then as far as, like, relationships, like my boyfriend, I put a 7 just because we don't see each other as much as we could because we're not in the same place. Employment, I put 8. Spiritual, I put 9 because I feel great spiritually. Like, I feel like, I'm pretty much a happy person. I barely ever feel depressed. If I do, I know it's a natural, like, thing that's passing. It's never felt like a, anything crippling for me. And I'm very good at, like, saying, okay, Angela, you're not feeling good about this right now, but everything's going to be okay. And I forget that I'm upset, like, really quickly.
Well, thank you all 3 for doing that. What you want to do, and anyone can do it back home, is that's why it's just a simple assessment, because you don't really sit back and go, okay, how do I reevaluate my life? Then what you do is you look at your lowest area, and then you set a goal around it. And so that,
For me, it'd be personal.
For you, it'd be personal. And you just one arena. Like, because if you can just improve that one arena, just 1 or 2 points, your life's going to be that much better. Yeah. Right.
I think it also is anxiety with a lot of us as well too. Like, even with with the personal, it's like I have anxiety and I hear stories all day about, and it's gonna sound crazy, about people going broke, right? And the reason it's always bothersome is because I have 5 kids, and it's like everything falls on my back. So you always want to make sure that they're good. I just heard a story. Somebody's mom was losing their house and he didn't have the money to necessarily pay the mortgage, and he was in trouble. And I'm like, I never want that to be my mom. I never want that to be my kid. So I have to continue to make sure all these streams come in so that even if I die tomorrow, knock on wood, that they're fine and they're covered. So that's kind of like where it's like my mind is always constantly thinking new streams of income, another stream of income. What can I do now? What happens when the market drops? What happens if something burns down or this happens or Charlamagne says something that gets us kicked off air or whatever it may be?
Damn.
I have a guaranteed contract, sir. I'll be fine.
Mine too, but after that, we just want to make sure that, we're absolutely positively fine.
But is it even real? Like, if
it's not real, but still.
It's not real.
I don't think.
But you seem very committed to it.
I am. That's what motivates me to work harder too, I think.
Okay, so what goal you would want to shift your personal life, which you're going to do by getting more freed up? So
I'm just constantly doing the work. I'm going to therapy. I got spiritual advisors, and I know what it is that's bothering me. And I'm going to free myself when I express it to
be
my
free, Charlamagne, be free.
I'm thinking before the year's over. The way the universe is going right now, the opportunity is presenting itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, he's going to free himself up.
I can't wait. Is it like what freedom? Like Andy freedom? Is it?
Man, shut up.
What's Andy freedom?
Andy's the guy from the Fire Festival who was sucking dick for Avion water.
Literally?
Well, he was down to do it. he didn't get a chance to, but he was ready.
I got you.
It wasn't just for Avion water. It was to get the water out of customs.
I thought it was for water. I thought it was so people could drink water.
See, nothing ever serious here.
Okay, DJ Envy. No, this is good. It should be fun.
Yes,
otherwise,
sir.
it's boring and you don't want to do it then.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yes,
that's why people don't like going to the gym. You do the same things and you're walking around. Like, it shouldn't be boring at all.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what are you gonna work through?
I'm gonna work on relationship, and I'm gonna work on personal. Relationship, because me and my wife are way better than we ever been. We've been together 24 years, but when I say way better, it's like it's free. When I became free with her, we became free together, and it's so great. And I just want to keep it that way. I just want to keep it that way and continue to work on our relationship. And as far as personal, like I said, I just got to work on myself, making sure I'm sane and not, focus on anxiety. I'm worried about when my daughter goes out and when she drives, and like things that I can't control. I'm super hypersensitive about, and I got to make sure I can control.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I learned in 2019. I am willingly accepting the things I cannot control.
How about for you?
I think just for myself, I need to make sure I stop running myself into the ground, doing so many different things, and dedicate some more time to family and friends.
So the thing is, on all these, so we're aware, right? We got aware. We now know, okay, this is where I want to get to. And normally what we would do is then you would go like, okay, how do I measure it? How do I get there? When am I going to get there by? And then the best thing to do is find an accountability partner, whether it's your spouse or whoever in your life. So it's just, to me, this is just like a simple way to kind of assess your life that anyone can do back home. It's free.
I'll do this with my wife later. That's why I'm writing it down now. I'm gonna do it with her. And we gotta have a conversation.
Yeah,
this will be a great conversation.
I got in Best Self. I have like over 100 exercises, and so it's a personal playbook.
Yes, there's some great exercises in
And Dr.
there.
Phil recommends heavily.
That's great. I'm gonna do this today with my wife.
Draw a picture of yourself, Envy.
Mike, thank you for coming, man.
Thank you, Charlamagne.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
Mike.
DJ Envy.
Appreciate you. Life coach Mike Bayer.
You guys got to do the work on yourselves,
That's
okay?
a fact.
There you go. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.